Hi guys, welcome to the masterclass of today.
Hello.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
I see that you
Good
are
evening.
a lot. So we are expecting about 500 people to connect today. We received more than 1,000 registrations. So you are a lot. Welcome to everyone from all the parts of the world. I see different names and probably different nationalities. If you want to write in the chat where you come from, it would be interesting to see your nationalities.
Jacob, where are you from?
One from Ukraine, one from France, Italy, Albania, even from China, India, a lot of nationalities represented. Very good, from Germany, Africa, the old region. So very good. Even from South America, good to know. Lebanon, Russia, very good. So today we will have, since we are waiting for the other ones to join us, today I'm starting to propose you the program of today. The masterclass would last 25 minutes, about 25 minutes. Then we will have the Q&A session. You will have the chance to ask questions live if you want, using the camera and directly asking the question using your voice, if you prefer. In general, we recommend to ask all the questions that are needed to clarify the specific topic along the masterclass. So you will even have the chance to ask directly to clarify something along the masterclass. Then if you want to go deeper inside the topic, so you want to have other references, other clarifications, you will have the chance to ask the questions at the end of the masterclass. Once again, you can write your questions in the chat, or you can ask directly the question using your voice. In order to have a sort of ordered queue, we will ask you to raise your hand so that we can give you the voice one by one and not overlapping. One more information, we will have some breakout rooms at the end of the masterclass that will open. At the bottom of your screen inside the Zoom environment, there is a button that is for breakout rooms. Once they will be opened, you will have the chance to go inside them and ask more questions specifically for programs. So no more questions about the masterclass, but specifically for the programs. I'm going to show you the agenda of today so that you have. So this is the title of the masterclass. Probably you already know we are 230, so we are waiting for other guys to join. Probably we will wait other 2-3 minutes. This is the agenda. So as I told you at the very beginning, we will have the masterclass, as you probably imagine, 25 minutes. Afterwards, Q&A and breakout rooms. You will have the chance to ask all your questions live or using the chat box. And afterwards, the breakout rooms. So as I said, the breakout rooms, you will have the chance to find the bottom at the bottom of your environment in Zoom and to join the breakout room that you prefer. One will be dedicated for the bachelor, one for the master in management, the MBA, the specialized masters altogether, the executive MBA, and even the custom programs. So if among you there is someone that is interested about the custom programs for companies, there is the room number 6 that will be dedicated for this. Anyway, I will explain once again at the end of the masterclass how to proceed with the breakout rooms. I will come back to the structure, to the agenda, and to the title of today. So the number of people attending is growing. Are you interested in one specific program, or are you here just to join the masterclass? If you want to write your answer in the chat, Okay, so yes, probably someone asked if it's possible to join to have the registration of the masterclass of today afterwards. Yes, today will be recorded, so you can access the recording afterwards. Yeah, someone wants to apply for a specific program, some others only for the masterclass. Okay, the masterclass just to for Prof. Lanteri, very good. Someone specifically planned for the professor. Yeah. Bachelor in Management, both of them. So yes, today you will have a kind of experience of what joining ESCP would mean, because Professor Lanteri is one of our member of the faculty belonging to ESCP Business School. He is one of our professor of strategy and innovation. So it will give you a kind of taste of what really means to study in ESCP. It will be interactive, as we usually do during our normal classes. Usually they are really interactive, and attendants can directly ask questions to the professor. And yes, afterwards you will have the chance to talk directly with the recruiters to have more details on how to apply and how to enter the school. I didn't introduce myself, so actually I'm part of the Turin Campus staff, and I'm in charge of marketing for this campus. Today I will be the moderator of the masterclass. So very good. We are almost 2,250. So I don't know if you want to start. Maybe it's a good time to start.
I'm ready whenever you want. I mean, I'm here for the audience, so I'm here for whatever you need me for. Just to answer Hannah's question, I'm based in Turin, but I also teach in programs on other campuses. And to Jonathan, I very, very, very much doubt that Google's Lambda is sentient in any meaningful way, but I'm happy to listen to any voice to the contrary. I was reading this earlier today. Doesn't look like it is sentient in the same way as we would define a human being sentient, let's put it this way. Sorry, Federica, I interrupted you.
No, I've seen the question. It was, yeah, interesting. So I think we can start, so that we can start with introduction and then move forward to the real and interesting content of today. So let's start. Enjoy your masterclass. See you.
Thank you. And Federica, whenever you see that I'm running over time, just send me a sign. Good. Hello, everyone. I'm not going to go through the different time zones because I understand that we cover the whole world. We have someone far in Asia, someone in Latin America. So it works for me because I'm somewhere in the middle. I can see some former students of mine, good friends. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. This is a good sign, I guess, right? If former students come back for more, it means that it's not as bad as it could be. So thank you for joining us. And of course, everyone else who I've not met yet, it's great to see you. And thank you for being here. I will start sharing a couple of slides just to introduce myself quickly, and then I will ask you a question. But listen, in the meantime, if you feel like it, just start typing in the chat, what is AI? So we all kind of try to get on the same page. Federica has already introduced me. My name is Alessandro. I'm Italian. You will probably figure that out from the accent and from everything else. I am based in Turin. Most of the work I do, to be honest, is with our executive masters and with our corporate clients. So ESCP collaborates and works with many companies, and we train them. My area of interest is what we now call the fourth industrial revolution. So these are my books. So if you ever take one of my classes and you show up with a copy of my book, you have a good chances of getting a good grade. But jokes aside, my area of interest is really—
Alessandro, sorry, we see all the slides, not only the one that you are presenting. Yeah. I don't know if it's,
no, yeah, that's
okay,
on purpose.
perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, I have better control this way. So these are the books I've worked on and I'm working on. So normally, exactly what is changing? How are the rules of strategy changing because of this fourth industrial revolution? And how do companies take advantage of these, in short. So let's get started. What is AI? Let me stop sharing my slides if I can, so I can see AI. Okay, AI is an acronym for artificial intelligence. Yes. What is artificial intelligence? Olivier, you're too advanced for this masterclass, my friend. What about the rest of you? But I will take a different angle, and I will try to disagree, partly disagree with you, Olivier. Okay, maybe very interesting. Let me see a few more. Naresh, I don't know how you came up with this one, but I just love the answer. Okay. I want to see a few more. Very good. Listen, I want to clarify at least the way I look at AI, and the way, it's not only me, to be honest, but many people think about AI. AI is not a technology. AI is the way human beings talk about different technologies. And we call artificial intelligence those technologies that perform as an intelligent human would. And so over time, what we call AI changes. When we started coding the first, programming the first, I don't know, chess games, chess software, playing chess against a computer, that computer was also AI. And it didn't follow the rules as we follow today to do AI. Some people call AI autopilot on an airplane because they performed like an intelligent human would. That is a completely different technology than the technology we call AI today. So artificial intelligence is not necessarily just a technology, but it's the way we as humans look at the performance of the technology and say, hey, that's pretty smart. There's no problem with that. But today, nowadays, when we talk about AI, we usually talk about machine learning. And machine learning is a technology, okay? It's, can you see the slide? Is it large enough for you to have at least a sense of what's going on the screen? You don't need to read all the text. You can just easily buy my book and you will find it there. I'm just kidding. You'll get the slides later, so you don't have to read it now. But so machine learning per se is the technology we use today that resembles human intelligence, and that's what we call AI. Okay, just as a starting point, I wanted to make this point. There are various approaches to doing so. But before we go on, I want to give you a little task. Can you see this image?
Yes.
No
Okay.
quiero botella, sí.
La botella con el fondo verde.
I can hear someone, so if you don't mind, I will ask you to please all mute yourselves. If you don't mind, please just mute yourselves. All right, you saw the image. So let's all go to menti.com. There are 3 ways to use this Menti. If you have a smartphone in front with you, just go to the QR code. Otherwise, just follow the link I put on the chat. That's the easiest way. And alternatively, you can go to menti.com and insert the code you see on the screen. That's 5373053. What you need to do once you get there is just very simply type in a description, a caption that describes the image that you saw. All right. I'm gonna mute everyone. I don't know, someone was unmuted, but I'm muting you all. Sorry for the aggressive move. So for those of you who are logging in right now, please follow the link in the chat. You will see an image, and I would like you to give us a description of the image you saw. Let me see if I can show the screen. Can you see it? Yeah.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, let's, there's 50 description already, a few more coming. Let me start reviewing the first few. 3 people playing ultimate frisbee on the grass. Excellent description. Frisbee turns into rugby, okay. Frisbee game, boys playing frisbee. Sport, game on. I love this one. I don't know who wrote this one, but this is the whole point of this entire exercise was this one. Why did I want this one? Diana also wrote something in the chat. Did anybody else wrote something similar? Football? Frisbee? Who wrote this one? A soccer game? A football match. Just wanted to show you the image again. Now, these are all wrong. This is a frisbee. These are 3 players. There's a 4th one on the left-hand side. They are playing frisbee. However, some of you seem to be making mistakes, which is absolutely fine, to be honest. But I really wanted to show that how common these mistakes are. I'll stop sharing these for the time being. There's 100, so we're not really gonna go through all of them. I wanted to show you this because although humans are especially talented, we are really excellent at visual tasks, even so, we make mistakes. In fact, on average, humans make mistakes at visual tasks about 5% of the times. AI is more accurate than us, but it doesn't mean it's perfect. Can you see this slide now? Am I back to the presentation I had at the beginning? This is an average, thanks. This is an average typical description by a human. And below you see the typical description by an algorithm. And when you look at it, you probably think, wow, this is pretty accurate. And when we see performances that are so accurate, we tend to say, hey, this is kind of intelligent. It looks pretty good. So I want to give you a few more examples. And one of the examples that I like are here. I like this one at the bottom. I hope you can see it well. The description there is a herd of elephants walking across a dry grass field. Sounds pretty good. Pretty accurate, detailed, rich. Very good. Let me show you a few more that I also like very much. I love the one at the top over here. 2 dogs play in the grass. Do you all like it? I see you is saying, oh, wait a minute. What's wrong? Yes. Anastasia says 3 dogs. Yeah, there are 3 dogs, Guglielmo. I know. That sounds very easy to you because you can count. But most of the visual recognition AI today cannot count. In fact, we usually say that the AI we know today is what we call the narrow AI, narrow artificial intelligence, meaning that each algorithm can perform one task. Maybe they can perform that task really, really well, better than humans, but they can't do everything that a human intelligence can. Are we going in that direction? I think we are. Are we going fast? Yes. Are we there? Not even close. So the AI we talk about today, no matter how good it is, really can't challenge or take over. Let's look at the next one. I really love the one at the bottom here. Do you like this one? The red motorcycle parked on the side of the road. And the last one in the middle is absolutely my favorite. The same algorithm that seems to be doing so well with the first few photos, not so well with the next range, not well at all. And then in the last column, they get it completely wrong. Why do you think they get it completely wrong? Emma, please.
Yeah, I think it's because they don't have a recognition system in that sense. They just see that there's an object and they try to identify it with something that's already in their algorithm or in their database. And if there hasn't been like a pink motorcycle, but there's been a red one and they see the shade is similar, they're going to identify it as such because it's the only thing in their range.
Excellent. Very good. Machine learning is precisely a technology that is trained with some images, thousands of images really. And the algorithm learns what are the characteristics of those images and associates them with a descriptor. Dogs, for example, or dry grass, or things like that. But the algorithm has no idea what a dog is, what a color red is, or what an elephant is. They only know how to associate certain image and the pixels and the characteristics of these images with a tag. And a very similar process happens for voice recognition and every other thing. Yeah. I wanted to say all this because AI really is not intelligent in the sense that we describe intelligence for humans. In fact, in many ways, it's also not artificial, but we will not go in that direction. Instead, it's a performance that has very high accuracy in terms of associating inputs with a tag. And the more you train it, the more you give it feedback, the more accurate it becomes. And so in that respect, it is a learning system. It's a system that gets better with experience. And that is what we define learning, even for humans. That was just a bit of intro. I want to move on. And I hope I didn't disappoint anyone. Some of you obviously already know quite a lot about AI, or at least a bit about AI. And you know that AI is not really intelligence in the same sense as a human. What AI really does very well is associate inputs to outputs. And with that, in a way, we reduce the expectations about what AI can do. But can AI do anything good? And the answer is yes, AI can do a lot of very valuable things. I want to talk about the four, what we call templates of value creation, 4 ways in which you can deploy AI to create value in a business. I want to start with the simplest one. These are my 4 favorite examples ever. I'll start with the simplest one. This is something that you could do even without an AI, of course, but AI does it better. Can you see this is the drive-through? Yeah, a restaurant, a fast food restaurant. There are cars driving up, and then they probably they stop by these signs, they place an order, and then they drive up a bit more, and they pay and collect the order. Okay, I don't need an image for this. I'll just explain it. One thing you can do is you can have a couple of sensors looking at the length of the queue. And when the queue of cars becomes too long, you can automate you can automatically change the menu. And the menu will now highlight the fastest items to prepare for the restaurant. When there is a long queue, the menu highlights the items that are the fastest to prepare. So cars drive up, you see this fast item advertised there, you probably order more of them, and so the average preparation time for the kitchen goes down. This way you serve more customers, and of course you increase revenues. Does this make sense? Actually, the one who benefits the most usually is the restaurant that installs this, but also increases the customer experience. So when the queue becomes shorter, the menu changes once again, and this time it highlights obviously the items with the highest margin, even though preparation time may be longer, but this time there's no queue. And so the restaurant optimizes its revenues in this other way. I know it sounds I hope it sounds obvious and simple that something like this can be done, but you can even ask maybe a 6-year-old kid to do it. You say, step here, and if the cars arrive until that point, you show this sign. Obviously, the benefit of doing this with AI is that you can respond to many more conditions, and we'll get to that in a second, and also that you can automate it. But the first template, the first criterion of creation of value with AI is automated responsiveness in real time. I'm going to add an example that also builds on real time, but adds another level, okay? We talk about Netflix as an example of hyper customization. It's not the only example, but it is one of the examples of hyper customization. Quick question, you all have Netflix, right? Or at least you exactly know what it is and how it works. So when you go on Netflix, you have a landing page with a number of recommendations and the videos and the shows you should watch. Netflix says that about 80% of the content consumed on its site comes from a recommendation. Amazon is doing similar things. Yes, yes. This one is very interesting because I have more information about the numbers. In particular, Ivan, okay, you know what it is. No, I stopped sharing for a second, Lihan. So a few years ago, Netflix said we have 75 million subscribers, and so we have 75 million versions of Netflix, meaning that there was one landing page customized to each individual user. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Now Netflix has, what, 150 million, give or take? How many landing pages, how many versions of Netflix are there today? $150 million? Yeah. That's exactly the tricky question I was asking. There's more. There's, in fact, there is an almost unlimited number of landing pages. Every time any one of us logs into Netflix, a brand new unique landing page is created. So in the past, there was one for each of us. Now there is one for each of us every time you land. Of course, you can have multiple accounts. You can have the children account, your spouse account, the joint account, of course. But for each individual account, each individual profile, really, when you land on that page, they offer, their recommendations are unique to that moment of the time of day. So if you land in on a Sunday afternoon or on a Wednesday evening, the recommendations will be different. If you log in from a portable device or from your smart TV, the recommendations will be different. If you log in from the Wi-Fi from home or from the office or from a public Wi-Fi, the recommendations will be different. In fact, each and every time you land, there will be a unique set of recommendations that depend on you, on your recent history, and also on the recent behavior of people who are considered viewers similar to you by Netflix. And then on top of that, Netflix runs experiments on you. So maybe you log in now and you see, you know, there is a certain trailer for a movie. And if you don't click on it, next time you land, there is a new trailer. Maybe I go and see a trailer for whatever, the most famous show you can think of. You can think of House of Cards. You can think of Chef's Table. Maybe when I go there, I get a recommendation that highlights certain images or certain techniques or certain, you know, actors, and any of you can get a different recommendation based on what you have liked in the past. So the second template is what we call hyper customization. So what machine learning can help you do today is to customize an offer that is unique. Sorry, I was trying to admit someone and I click on the wrong button. So hyper customization. Number 3, insight. How many of you have been to China? Obviously, some of you are Chinese, so you must have been to China, I'll guess. Carmen has been. Ciao, Carmen. Good to see you. I can't see you, but good to see you. Salvatore, you have to go. Valentina, so you raise your hand to say you've been to China, right? Been to China a couple of years ago. What was the hardest thing for me in China? The 2 hardest things for me in China. Yes, Lihan. Oh, Joyce is in China even now. Yes. Yeah, so I think you got me already. The hardest thing for me in China was communicating. Obviously, I couldn't speak any Mandarin, so That was a problem, and most people didn't speak English. The second problem sometimes I get, yeah, so I see food. I must say I had delicious food. I have no idea what I ate, but it was delicious. So that was not necessarily a problem. But definitely the biggest problem I had, as you already mentioned earlier, is I could not spend money. It's so hard to spend money in China because no one takes cash. And I thought I was so smart because I brought cash, but that didn't work. And and the second thing is that they didn't take my credit cards. Only the hotel where I was staying took my credit card. Everybody else only accepted mobile payments with Alipay or WeChat, which I didn't have, in short. So that made my life hard. But are you all familiar with these mobile payment systems? Do you know what they are? So in order to pay, you need to have an app that's part of a super app, really, but you need to have a portable mobile device, and that's how all of your payments will be processed. You may not be familiar because you don't have it, but okay, Mimi also has it in Denmark. Indeed, it is a cashless society. What makes it so interesting to me is that every day billions of transactions are collected. They are all digitized, and so you can analyze them in very interesting ways. And so if you do so, if you have these billions of transactions, you can run certain techniques, one we call unsupervised learning, and you can figure out what various consumers have in common. And at some point, there was Ant Financial, so the parent company of Alipay, figured out that some customers spent more money than average fixing the screen of their smartphone. Okay, what else? They also found out that the same customers spent more money than average on skinny jeans or tight jeans. So they realized, hey, if you buy tight jeans, you probably need to fix your phone. So shortly later, they introduce a new insurance policy to get the screen of your phone fixed, and that would be advertised to people after they buy skinny jeans. The correlation between these two behaviors is impossible to detect for a human. And even if you detect it, can you imagine going to a meeting with your boss? You work in an insurance company, you go to talk to your boss and say, boss, I have a brilliant idea. Why don't we do an insurance policy for people who buy tight jeans to fix their phones? Your boss will probably fire you on the spot because it doesn't make any sense. But if you have enough data, you can surface hidden correlation between data and achieve what we call this insight. That's the third type, yeah, the third template of value creation. I have a final one. Prediction. A few years ago, Amazon patented this system called Anticipatory Delivery. What could that mean? What it means is that you're sitting at home, someone knocks on the door, you open the door, there is an express courier. You say, who are you? I'm your courier. I brought you your next purchase from Amazon. And you say, I didn't buy that from Amazon. Oh, not yet, but soon you will. And so people freaked out, as you can imagine, because no one wants to feel that they're being controlled or the companies know so much. Yeah, so based on where you live or your recent purchase history and the purchase history of other people living next to you and similar to you in so many ways, they can predict how many items will be purchased by us of a certain time, and even what each one of us will buy potentially. And so anyway, people freaked out. And so what do you think Google did, Amazon did? Did they kill the project? They didn't kill the project. For those of you who are familiar with it, maybe you even have an Amazon Prime subscription. Do you have an Amazon Prime subscription? Or do you know what that is? I know it doesn't work in every country. I'm aware of that, but I think most of you know. Yeah. Amazon Prime in certain countries delivers within 2 hours. How fast do you think these people have to run to bring a package to you 2 hours within your order? They run fast indeed, but most of the time they just charge you for the privilege of predicting what you're going to buy. So in other words, instead of saying, hey, we can predict what you're going to buy, they just make it look like a super premium service and they charge you for it. Because here it's not only about the technology and the capability of the technology to have very accurate predictions, but it is mostly about combining human intelligence with human psychology with this technology to create value. I know we don't have a lot of time left. I think I have maybe 2-3 minutes left. So Federica, whenever I need to shut up, let me know, because otherwise I'll talk forever.
I think we started at, we have other 5 minutes almost.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So there are a few things that they can do at Amazon, right? So one of them is that by the time you click on buy now, if you are a Prime subscriber, most of the time the package is already on its way out. So you may say, hey, what if I then change my mind? Well, it doesn't matter. If you change your mind, that's still part of the cost of doing business. But if you don't change your mind, then you pay a fixed fee every year. And that's probably a much preferable and superior option for Amazon. And this happens at the individual level, but this happens also, of course, at a much larger scale. So they progressively move the items closer to the locations where they expect that they have to be dispatched from, so that in the meantime, they minimize the distance from the warehouse to your doorstep. Amazon has this unbelievable, brilliant, utopian, and I don't know, maybe a bit scary as well, concept of themselves as converting, making, they want to make logistics like utilities. Okay, when you have utilities like electricity or water, you want light, you press on the switch, the electricity is already there waiting for you to click, right? Or when you turn the tab, water is already there waiting for you to open it. They want to do the same thing with logistics. You want a sweater, you open the door, it's already there for you, or something close to that. So they want to convert logistics into a utility. And that's possible thanks to a combination of various technologies, to be honest with you. But at the core of it, there is this machine learning. Listen, I am done. I have one final example I want to share with you. But in the meantime, if you have any key important question that you want to ask me, you can start typing it in the chat. Otherwise, in a couple of minutes, as you know, Federica will open the breakout rooms, so you can go and talk about the various programs in the breakout rooms, or you can stay a moment longer with me if you have further questions that you want to ask.
Yeah, I'm going to share how it's possible to reach the breakout rooms, so that you have once again the chance to look at, you see there is a button in your screen. So from now, the breakout rooms are open. You will find probably a pop-up. Now you see a pop-up, you can decide in which room you want to go. Inside them, you find the recruiters to ask more information. I'm going to stop now the sharing on my screen so that we come back to the masterclass with the ones that are still looking for more information about the topic that we treated. And thank you for staying with us for the masterclass and even to join the breakout rooms. We will close both of them by 6. See you.
There are so many messages. I'm reading like one in 5, to be honest. Yeah. I'm trying. I'm terribly frightened by this technology. The final example I have in mind is an example that's 10 years old. It's even before what we call AI became really widely available. And there are various such examples. Some of them are probably like myths. They are anecdotes. We don't know if they're entirely accurate, but there is a story, it came out on the New York Times 10 years ago about this man who showed up at the Target. Target is a retail store in the US. So he showed up and he was furious. So he went to the manager, demanded to see the manager, saw the manager and said, "What the hell are you thinking? look at all these vouchers that you sent, and he had a fistful of vouchers you sent to my daughter. My daughter is 15. These are all vouchers for pregnancy, for diapers, baby lotions, baby food. What are you thinking doing advertising these things to my daughter? Are you trying to encourage her to get pregnant? And of course, the manager didn't know what he was talking about. He just apologized. And a few days later, the manager called this gentleman to apologize once again. And the gentleman said, well, you know what, apparently some things have been going on in my house that I should have known about, but I didn't know about, and you knew more than I did about my daughter. Turns out this teenager girl was actually pregnant. Now, how does Target know that the girl is pregnant before her father finds out? There are various ways in which this can be done, but this is freaky. Yeah, scary, creepy in so many ways. So, I mean, it's actually kind of easy in a way, and you really don't need to be a genius. You just need to collect data. So they started looking at the data for women who became pregnant and started buying diapers. And so they started looking at what these women had purchased in the period, in the 9 months before they actually bought diapers. And it was kind of obvious that, so for example, they buy lotions without perfume, they buy cotton, they buy zinc, they buy calcium, they buy, I don't know, whatever they buy. I've never experienced that, the joy of pregnancy. So, and I never will, I guess. But you go back in time and you figure out exactly what women start buying 6 months before delivering a baby, 3 months before delivering a baby. In fact, you can predict with good accuracy even the window of delivery of the baby. And so you can start advertising to them. And you know what? Again, customers freak out. No customer wants companies to know things about them. Can you send someone a note saying, congratulations on your first child, when they never told you that they were pregnant and you are a retailer? I mean, people freak out. They hate you for that. So what they did instead, they still send advertisement. They still send the same type of advertisement. But so this time they say, for example, there are diapers here, and just next to it, they would put a lawn mower and say, okay, pregnant ladies will completely ignore certain products, but they will focus on the other products. So these products are still advertised to them, but they're hidden. They are mixed up with other products so that it doesn't look like you are targeting them directly. So once again, the technology lets you do certain things, but then you need to take into account human psychology. And of course, you need human intelligence to coordinate the whole thing. Now, where does the ethics of it begins? I think it begins earlier on. It begins when you start collecting data. You start collecting data and you tell people that you're going to collect their data, but they have no idea what you collect their data for. And even if you tell them what you collect their data for, this is the technology that evolves so rapidly, so rapidly, that you don't know what you will use their data for in 3 months, or maybe in 3 months, but not in 2 years. So what you do really, you go back to them and say, hey, by the way, you remember how you approved the terms and conditions of my website when I told you that I was going to do this? Now I need you to update, to confirm this again. And they add all the new characteristics and the new usages of AI. So you click on it again, and you constantly give them an approval to do whatever they want. Unfortunately, I don't believe any of us really understands what is at stake or what will be at stake. Zakaria, I think AI is an excellent field of study. I think that you do not necessarily need to be able to be a computer scientist to use AI in a valuable way, but it certainly would give you an advantage. I think that what is really still missing, and it's usually missing whenever there is a new tech generation, is someone who can interpret and translate and put in communication the strategic decision makers, the operation managers, the management, with the technical stuff and the people who have a capability to deploy. So if you don't understand what the technology does and what it can do, it's very difficult to have a business idea around it. So someone who understands both, that would be great. Guys, I'm really sorry. I don't read as fast as you type, or maybe there's too many of you. So let me just randomly pick a few questions. Emil, great question. I don't have an easy answer to that. One of the things that, however, we are really, really struggling with is, and this is really not only AI, but every technology that doesn't follow a circular economy creates a bottleneck of some sort. Everything we do nowadays still requires a chip, and the chip comes from sand. So you still need to have an excavator and extract sand and then burn it and all that. And all of those things take a lot of energy. They also follow the rules of physics of analogic technologies. So they don't go as fast as digital technologies need to go. So so back to that question, I don't really have an answer, but my first answer would be, first of all, solar power is becoming cheaper and more affordable, cheaper than fossil fuels. So that's a direction to look forward to. But even so, solar panels are not sustainable the way we make them today. So I think that we need to go in that direction. We are going in that direction. We think we need to go in the direction of a more circular approach to the hardware, yeah, to the chips.
Someone asked if it makes sense to study AI.
Yeah, so I was saying, I think it makes sense. I don't think you need to be able to code in order to use AI strategically, but you need to know the basics of it so you can make good business decisions based on what AI can really do and not just on the fantasies of AI. Wow, there are so many questions. So I would say, so there is a question about the future of robotics. I think robotics, again, is an example of technology that will make our life much, much better, but it should not be left to itself. Human intelligence plus machines combined, they have a lot of potential to do a number of things. Robots in particular are especially well designed to do the things that humans should stop doing. So things that are, we sometimes call them the 3D jobs, right? They are dirty, they are dull, and they are dangerous. So dirty means that they are unsafe, like cleaning the sewers or going into a mine. They can be dangerous, meaning that you have to enter an area where there are threats. It could be a security, there could be bombs, it could be a physical threat, it could be an environmental threat, or it could be a very boring, repetitive task for which we need, we can use a machine. The other thing is hyper accuracy for certain things. Robots are better than surgeons already. Remember, just to have, again, a quick definition that helps you make better decisions in the future. Not everything that is called a robot is a robot, okay? A robot is something that has a physical component. It's a machine. When you hear things like robo-advisory in finance, it's not robotics. It's not a robot. A robot is a machine with an ability to make autonomous decisions. Sometimes even just automatic decisions, but sometimes autonomous, meaning that they can decide for themselves. So a driverless car is a robot. I don't think, just answering the question again, I said it in the morning. I don't think, sorry, I said it at the beginning. I read this article quickly in the morning. I don't think that the algorithm that Google Lambda, I don't think it's sentient in the same way as a human is sentient. And I don't think it's sentient even in the way that this human believes it is. Google apparently disagrees. They reviewed it. They said, look, there are many, many elements that make us believe that this is not true, and they've been overlooked, and not enough that makes us believe that it is true, and they've been blown out of proportion. We have already algorithms that can interpret emotions, that can react to our emotions, that can, I don't know if they can control our emotions directly, but I don't imagine they would be very far away. I think these raise definitely a much bigger ethical concern than others do. One of the principles of ethics, they can be sensor-based, but it can also be visual recognition-based, right? We have all those visual cues that give away the way we feel. So and also the voice, the wavelength of our voice can be used that way. One thing that if I can combine at least quickly, what we were saying about robots and what we're saying now about emotions, one of the principles and more general, the concept of ethics that appeared in numerous questions. One of the things that we should be super careful about, and this is one of the principles of robot ethics, is that robots are not sentient beings. Robots are products. So when we talk about the ethics of AI, the ethics of autonomous vehicles, or the ethics of, I think that we should make it very clear that they don't have ethics, that the companies that manufactures them should be concerned about their ethics, but not because the decisions that a robot makes can be ethical in the way a human makes decisions. That cannot be the case, at least not with the AI we have today. Let me say that. The other thing is that when we talk about robots, manufacturers of robots should make it very clear that the product they are making is artificial. And what that doesn't happen. Most of the robots we see for human companionship and so on, they are designed to look like the real thing. And that's deceptive. And you should never do something that can deceive a human, particularly because we are targeting vulnerable populations like children and elderly with those robots above everyone else. So those are the categories of consumers that we should protect above everyone else. So not sure we're going in the right direction there. My next big thing, if I could tell you, the next big thing in AI, I think is natural language processing in a slightly more advanced way. I mean, of course, you already have Siri and Cortana, they hear you, but they don't understand necessarily what you say, right? Once again, they classify your words and they look for what's the best correspondent search, but they have no deep understanding of what that means. And I think that maybe we're going closer in that direction. I think, Nikos, I think I don't see AI replacing too many jobs. I see, however, AI replacing many tasks. And so AI right now and robots right now, they can really do very few jobs entirely on their own. What is much more common is a scenario where you have an AI-powered solution, could be software, could be robotics, could be various things, that really helps humans do their tasks, do their jobs. So they do some tasks that give humans superpowers, so to speak. And so the combination of the two is where the power lies, right? It's what I call collaborative intelligence. However, humans will then decide whether they want to keep employees or not. So it's not the technology itself that makes people redundant. This technology cannot outright replace people. It can give superpowers to other people. And so we can think of systems that make people redundant if we want to. But this is not the AI, this is the management. So if a manager wants to find an excuse to fire someone, they will. AI will give them an excellent excuse. I don't think, however, that this will help them perform better, at least the AI we have today. I think we're almost out of time. I'm trying to, yeah, thank you, Federica. I'm trying to read the question at a time. Olivier, you had the same talk about replacing humans, or? You know, Mark and Terence have this piece of research on one of their latest book, the previous book, and they show very interesting data about how the ATM, the automated teller machine, did not result in the loss of even one job in the banking industry long term. Anyway. AI for digital marketing. Listen, I think that if you combine some of the templates we mentioned earlier, 2 or 3 things are incredibly interesting. I think the first one is that you can advertise to me based on the second of the day, exactly where I am at that point in time, exactly what I'm doing in that very second, based on what I just had for lunch, right? Right now, you advertise I mean, digital marketing is a far shot ahead of above the line traditional marketing, right? Because it can target me based on my behavior, on my demographic, of course, on my psychometric, number of different things. But even so, when you have a conversion rate of 3% and you say, wow, we did great, it means that you're still advertising to 97% of the wrong people, right? Or the wrong time, or the wrong message. Now, I'm not trying to say that you can quickly and soon go to 100%. I hope that never happens, because otherwise it really means that you are doing some things that are a bit scary. But there is still a lot of room for improvement. And so, for example, advertising to me a certain product at the wrong time, or at the wrong price, or at the wrong whatever, that can be fixed if you just collected enough data to figure out exactly who buys what, when, how, why, and so on, in a much, much more refined way. Zakaria, I think this will be the last question, if that's all right.
Sorry again, sir. I just want to ask you, I'm so afraid to study this field, the field of artificial intelligence, and I just want to know what I'm going to do with it in the future. So, are you advising
I think you
me
should be afraid of not knowing about this field, my friend. You should not be afraid of studying it. You can study it in various ways. The way I study it, I don't know the technology very well. I know it enough to talk about it, but I don't know how to operate machine learning myself. I don't know how to code it. I don't know. I know as much as I can from the perspective of a decision maker to advise decision makers and so on. I think that if I found the time to actually learn how it works, that would give me a substantial boost, even in my career. And in my career, as you understand, this is not a requirement. Yeah, it's not required that I know AI. Still, I don't imagine there is any career where knowing AI will not give you an advantage, at least in the next 10 years, for the next 10 years. AI, as we talk about it today. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I was afraid because I study right now mathematics and computer science, and I just want to specialize in studying artificial intelligence. I was so afraid because a lot of opinions are telling me you are not going to find a job, or this is why I'm so afraid to specialize in this field.
I'm one of the people who disagrees with those people who told you that. Let's put it this way.
Yes. So you are telling me to study it without any afraid of.
Yeah. I
Thank you.
I will also tell you, whatever you study now will not give you a job in 10 years. There's no such a thing. No skill that you learn today that will still be cutting edge in 10 years. But AI right now is where I would not hesitate going there.
So thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you for your time.
Guys, I must also apologize, and I think we are running out of time.
Yeah, we are
I'm afraid I have not answered most of your questions. I think you have only one chance. You have to come to ESCP and ask me in person.
Yeah, we will send the recording afterwards of this masterclass with also this part. So then we can stay in contact even afterwards. And thanks a lot to everyone that joined this session. And we will do other masterclasses along the year that is coming, and the academic year that is coming. So, and thanks a lot also to Alessandro. And let's keep in touch. I wish you a nice evening. I hope you enjoyed the session. Bye-bye. Have a nice